Welcome to DIgitalsoftecs. In this session, we are going to explain about the relational model, the advantages of relational model, and database management system keys. So, keys is one of the most important concept of database management system. This is because keys are keys, and with the help of keys, we can access the data present in the database. So, let's move on towards today's agenda. Okay, what is a relational model? Advantages of relational model and what is database keys and its types. We have primary key, secondary key, super keys, and candidate keys. So let's explain and understand the concepts one by one. So Dr. E.F. Code worked to improve the working of database management system to handle large volume of data. He applied rules of mathematics to solve the problems earlier database models, the data integrity and data redundancy. He presented a paper, a relational model contained 12 rules, so that 12 rules will be explained in the future lessons. And a DBMS which is 12 rules called database management system. So currently we have seen about the different types of database management system such as Oracle, TB2 family of IBM, and MySQL. So these database management systems satisfy the 12 rules in which they have control the data integrity, data redundancy, consistency. So that relational model were presented by the Dr. E.F. Court to improve. And that is why the concept of tables are presented. And the data is divided in the database with the help of tables. And he presented 12 rules. So that 12 rules satisfaction makes a database management system. So it's all about the relational model. So what is relational model? In relational model, data is stored in the relation called tables. Relational is another term used for table. So relational and table is the same thing. So table in the database have unique name which identify its data. Table contain rows. Table contain rows and columns, just like the common tables we see in our education system in books. Everywhere the table is present. Every table must have a column that uniquely identify each row in the table. So the in data is spread in the tables and that have a column and they have a specific rows. So data is present in that specific columns and that specific rows, and we call them the better management, better division of a data in the table. So that is why relational model have a wide area of uses in the database management system in which the data is organizedly divided in the database, so we can easily access the data and we perform the different kind of operations such as access the data, deletion of a data, updation of a data. So these are the common operations which are being done on data. So relational or table, so this is table. So in this we have the name of the table is student. They have attribute roll number, name and class, and that is a roll number, name, and there is the class. So how the data is stored in the table? So data is stored in the table. This is called columns and this called row. So in the specific row we have ali, and ali have that attributes and that properties such as their roll number, their name and their class. So how the data is organized saved, just it tell us that how the data is stored in the table. So table in the database, so that in database we have tables. For example, if I have the school database, so that I have a student table in which the data is stored for the students. I have a teacher table, so the data is stored for all teachers. So that is why the data is divided. So it gave you a proper way to perform different kinds of operation on the data. So we have advantages of relational model or table database model, you can say. So the advantage are data integrity, avoiding no duplication of data tables or maintaining uniqueness of data in the table. For example, the data is uniquely saved in the database. For example, if I have Ali, so that Ali is be not mentioned and not being repeated. For example, if I assign roll number 1, so with that roll number is just only assigned to Ali. So there is why no duplication of a data. For example, if there's roll number 1 Ali BS, and there's another student if I is roll number 1 Ali BS, no, and that roll number 1 is not assigned to Khan. So there is why the relational model help us the data integrity, the uniqueness of a data, that the data is not repeated in the table. That is why that data is present and saved in the database uniquely. So I can access them, I can perform different kind of operations. So the second one is data independence. The implementation of a database will not harm the logical database design or changes made in the database software. That is why we have seen the three architecture model of a data independence. So data is separated from the software and from the hardware. So if we commit any kind of changes, so that will not affect our data. So that data independence help us to store the data in the tables, and that when we changing something in the tables, so it will not create any kind of problem for us. For example, if I want to change a software, if want to change in the database design, so that will not affect my relation. So that is why relation help us the data independence, data consistency and accuracy, since multiple level check and constrain and built in data to accurate and consistency. That is why when the data is stored in an organized way, so that is consistent, that is how accurate, just like data integrity help us. So we have a keys. So keys are very important concepts of DBMS system. That is why with the help of key we can access the data. And for example, you can see on the screen a table, and a table have a roll number, name, and class. So if I make this roll number as a key, and with the help of structured query language, as we use SQL, so we use SQL, and see these examples of keys in SQL tutorials. So in roll number, I have to access the data with the help of roll number. I can access the data. If I want to access the data of Ali and his class is BA, so I can make this roll number as a key. So with the help of key, which is 11, so roll number is 11, I can access the data of Ali. So that is why a key is an attribute or set of attributes that uniquely identify a record in the table. With the help of key, we can access the data of a table. This is because data is stored in the table are special order or sequence. So keys help us to access the required data. So with the help of keys, we can access the data present in the tables. So we can explore it. This is key. So if this is a simple example of relation, I have agent ID, agent first name, agent last name, date of hire, and agent home phone. So if I have an office, so and with the help I assign IDs. So on that IDs I store the data of every agent or every employee. So if I want to access the data of this agent which have ID 100, so I will access the data with the help of this ID. If I enter ID is equal to 100, so I can access this row. If I input the agent ID 101, so I can access the Steve data. There is this row. So that is why with the help of keys I can access the specific record present in the table, and that is why I can update the data easily, I can delete the data, I can add the data into the database, and that is why it makes us the database management system operation easy and very easy. With the help of key we can access that data. So we have the types of keys. We have different types of key. We have primary key, we have candidate key, super key, and foreign key. So let's explore one by one. What is super key? A super key is an attribute or combination of attribute in a relation that identifies a tuple or a record. A super key is more general type of key. A relation student consists different attributes like registration number, name, class, father name. So if I make the registration number as a super key, so it is really easy for me to access the data. There is called super key. So super key is an attribute or combination of attributes. So it is general type of key. If I have a student relation and I want to make the registration number is a super key, so it's a general type of keys. So if I want to add a lot of attributes towards the super key, like registration number, name, class, so all these things are called the super key. Let's move towards to explore other types of keys. Candidate key. A candidate key is a super key that contains no extra attributes. It consists minimum possible attributes. Each table has students candidate key. Let's move. The example, a table student contains registration number, name, address, class, just like the previous example. We have registration number which is called candidate key. So we have registration number and name, that is super key. So super key can contain more than one attribute. But in candidate key, we cannot add extra attribute. Like with the help of registration number, I can access the data of student. So I cannot add name to the registration number or to the super key. So super key contain name and everything that contain unnecessary attributes. But in candidate key, I cannot add unnecessary attributes. Like with the help of a registration number, I can access the data of a student. So I have no need of name. So that is why candidate key contain no extra attributes. So it called candidate key. So candidate key contain no extra attribute, while super key can contain extra attributes, so more than one attribute. But in candidate key, we cannot add unnecessary attributes. So it is the another type of key. So I think it will be clear. We have primary key. So a primary key is a candidate key that is selected by the database designer to identify rules uniquely in a relation. A relation may contain many candidate keys. When designers select one of them to identify a tuple in the relation, it becomes a primary key. So candidate key, just like here, we have a candidate key, and candidate key cannot contain unnecessary attributes. It contains necessary attributes, just like registration number. So a primary key is a candidate key that is selected by the database designer. Some important point: a relation can have only one primary key, and primary key cannot contain null values. So when they have null values, we cannot access the data. They have some kind of values. So we have example of primary key. Here we have the registration number, name, and class. So we make this key as a primary key, and there is registration number. So I can access the data with the help of primary key. So you have different types of keys. You must know these concepts. We have alternate key. So for example, if I have a relation that is registration number, roll number, name, and class, so I can use alternate key. Like registration number is a primary key, but I can use also another key for this relation to access data. There is roll number. So with the help of roll number, I can access the data. With the help of registration number, I can access the data, and with the help of roll number, I can access the data. So for this relation, we have two keys: primary key, which is registration number, and I have another key, roll number, that is alternate key. It just alternate also specify the alternate way for the work. We have a composite key. So a composite key that contain more than one attribute, we call them composite key. For example, in this relation, I have a roll number, I have subject and marks. If I make a composite key that contain roll number and subject, I call them composite key. It's very simple. Example, in composite key, we have more than one attributes. I have a foreign key. A foreign key is an attribute or set of attribute in a relation whose values match primary key in the another relation. For example, if I have roll number, name, and address in this relation, and I have a roll number, subject, and marks in the another relation. So in this table or this relation, I have a roll number that is primary key. So if I use this roll number in the second relation, which is here, which is same value 11 12 and 11 12, and I can add more attributes, so it become the foreign key. That is why this key is also used in another relation. So here roll number is primary key, foreign key. Foreign key is a little bit complex, but it is not quite complex. It is really very easy when the key is used in another relation, just like here they have value 11 and 12. If I use roll number in this relation, so that is called the foreign key. So foreign key is used in database joins. So in database join, we use relation joins to combining relations. So relation joins will be covered in the future lessons. So this is called the foreign key. In foreign key, I have used the key more than one time. Like roll number is used here and roll number is used again here. So when I use a key in another relation, it become the foreign key. So it's all about the different types of keys. Let's repeat one by one. Super key is an attribute or combination of attributes in a relation that identify a tuple or record. Just like a key or super key, same things. For example, registration is a super key. And if I can also make another key which have name and class, so it also becomes the super key. I have a candidate key, so a candidate key cannot contain unnecessary attributes. For example, with the help of registration number, I can access the data, so I have no need to assign name and address to the key. Primary key, so if a database designer select a candidate key, so it become the primary key. So with the help of primary key, I can access the data also. So a relation contain only one primary key. It is very important point, and primary key cannot contain null values. So if I want to access the data 11, so in 11 have some kind of record. It cannot be that their values are nulls. So that is why it's really important primary key. So every relation have only one primary key. This is example of primary key. Alternate key. If I want to make another key for the relation, so it become the alternate key. It is a composite key which contain more than one attributes. It is a foreign key. I use the keys in two relation, so it become the foreign key. And here's example. Here I have used agent ID, and agent ID is primary key for this relation. And if I use agent ID, so it become the foreign key. That is why I reuse of the primary key. So reuse of primary key in the another relation, it become the foreign key. This is very simple example for the foreign key. So it's all about the keys in the database in a relational model. We have explained the relational model, advantage of relational model, what is key, what is primary key, what is candidate keys, super keys, and composite key. You can watch this tutorials more than one time to understand the concept. If you have any kind of queries or questions related to this session, write your query in the comment section. We will try to resolve it. Thanks for watching.